If you've been listening, you know I'm in the middle of a major transformation, shedding roles and identities that no longer resonate, stripping it all back to figure out who I really am underneath it all. And truthfully, it's not always graceful. It's disorienting, beautiful, messy, liberating all at once. During this chapter, I started working with Stephanie Yonan, and our weekly conversations have become a space where I can check in with myself on a soul level. Stephanie is a psychic intuitive. She reads energy, channels messages from the higher self, and holds space in a way that reminds you of what you already know deep down. Before this work, Stephanie built an incredible corporate career, but the quiet inner knowing she carried since childhood eventually became too loud to ignore. She answered the call to live in alignment with her intuitive gifts and now uses them to guide others in remembering their own truth. This episode is called Naked Truths: Who Are You Behind the Mask? Because that's what we're getting into today. What does it really mean to live in your truth? Not the version that looks good on paper, but the one that actually feels like you. And when the noise gets loud, the roles get heavy, and the path feels unclear, how do you find your way back? I'll admit, I was skeptical of these spiritual concepts until the past year of my own awakening. Since then, Stephanie has truly expanded my understanding, revealing depths and possibilities I never imagined. So take a deep breath, drop the armor, and let's go there together. Hey. That was the softest hey I've ever heard you say.
Hey. I'm so excited to be here.
I'm so excited to have you here. I literally want to throw my hands up in the air.
Me too. Yes. Me too. Yeah. No, absolutely. Let's do it.
So can you tell us, what is a psychic intuitive?
So psychic, I really feel like, one, we're all psychic, but that information is right here. So it's kind of that energetic exchange just right here. We're kind of living it. You walk into a room and you feel the room. You can kind of sense if the room is feeling a little off, or all of a sudden my energy lifts up. Like, that is very psychic. Intuitive is a layer deeper. It's almost like it, there's not a, like, it's a knowing, like it drops into you. It doesn't always make sense. And so kind of what I do is I drop into people's energy, and I really pull in kind of what you said in the intro, their higher self, and you get to kind of sit with your soul for a moment.
I think a lot of us have never heard of the concept of a higher self. What is that?
Yeah, it's your most evolved self. So it's kind of the version of you that has lived the lives and knows the lessons and gives you guidance on kind of how to do it.
If I want to talk to my higher self, do I have to work through someone like you, or can I learn how to connect with my higher self?
Oh gosh, no, you can absolutely do it yourself. So when I pull in someone's higher self, or when I pull in my own higher self, you do have to kind of raise your vibration up. So you kind of raise it up and they kind of come down and we kind of meet. And so you do almost have to like let your body go upwards to kind of meet that energy. But absolutely, you could call it in yourself. You can absolutely work with it. It's hard. It's hard for me to channel my own higher self. I'm going to be honest with you. So much easier to do other people because I'm very emotionally invested in my own life and how things are going to turn out. So sometimes I can construe messages that I want to hear versus like how it's coming in clearly. So sometimes it's easier to see someone else.
I think this is the perfect way to lead into the question of, how do you help people connect with their own inner knowing?
Yeah, well, I mean, look, we've done a lot of sessions together, and I think first I pull in your higher self. So you can almost feel the energy when we're together, and that's you. Like, that's your soul that you're sitting with. So I think a lot of times when I'm talking and you're like, that makes sense, or yes, I've been feeling that, it's because we pull down your energy, so you're kind of getting to sit in it. But I think I get to just be the clarity to confirm intuition that you've already been having. So it helps you trust yourself.
You're so right about that, because I have this like deep nagging sense of kind of knowing something. And I think the emotional attachment to certain ideas, or the ego kind of coming in, it does affect how I want to interpret that message. So like you said, it's super important and it's super helpful to have another tool like this.
Yeah. And so when I confirm it on a weekly basis and you're like, oh my gosh, I've been thinking about that all week, it helps you trust it, right? Because you're like, I can trust myself a little bit more. I am intuitive.
You get to know people on such an interesting, deep level. What does that feel like for you? Like whenever you're just out and about in the world, and you've done readings for pretty much
everybody
in the world.
So if you haven't, you're missing out.
You're missing out. But no, you've done readings for a lot of, our people in our community. And you're also such a good friend to us. Like, but what does that feel like when you're just kind of like out and about having dinner? Do things just pop in, or is it only when you're tuned in?
I mean, yes, it could. It could. I always say, like, do you notice everything that people are wearing? I mean, we see people with our eyes, and that's kind of how intuition is. Like, yes, I could maybe tap in. Yes, I could feel into people, but I don't choose to on a regular basis. And then I'd love to say I remember, but I don't usually remember actually most of the details of a session. It feels like I will. Like, I'm pulling it in, I'm talking it out with you. But then, like, within a few minutes after that session, most of it goes away. So when we're together and we just get to be friends, I relearn you just a little bit on a different level.
That is so cool. It's like you get to know people in these multiple dimensions. Yeah. And I kind of feel like when I'm connecting with patients that are there for a heart attack, I meet them in a very chaotic, volatile period of their life. It's a very vulnerable moment. And you don't really have much of a conversation because you're rushing. Like, minutes count, everything matters in terms of your precision. And then afterward, you have a conversation and it's like, I know you so well. Like, my hands were literally inside your heart arteries.
Of you. That's crazy.
Like, I know your heart arteries feel crunchy on the inside. Like, isn't that such a weird thing to say?
That's more than intimacy, in my opinion.
It really is. And then it's like, on top of that, then you learn about them as a person, and that they have like these great stories, and you feel their energy, and the people that love them show up. And it's such a cool way to get to know people. But like, my first interaction with them is, your artery was or was not crunchy. You did or did not have a ton of clot in there. And like, it's just such a wild way of getting to know people. But like you said, you kind of have these different dimensions.
Yeah, 100%. I agree. They're very, very similar. Basically, I'm a doctor. I'm just kidding.
I'm a psychic intuitive.
Yes, we're the same person.
I feel like we're supposed to like hold hands and sing songs now. But actually, RT did have the same message of a peaceful mind is a strong mind. So there we go. And so I want to ask you, have you always had this gift, or did it evolve with time?
Gosh, Pri, that's such a good question. So I actually feel like I taught myself. So when I was young, I had kind of like a little bit of an abusive household. So I was in my room a lot, and I would play games with myself, and I would kind of like guess. I would call it like a guessing game, and I would guess like, what is my sister doing in her room, or my brother, and then it would expand out to friends, and then I would guess what would happen the next day at school, and I would start to kind of go further into the future. And I was like, man, I am like literally the best guesser. Like, put me in any guessing game. Like, I got this. Like, I thought I was really good at it. However, I want to say I was like in 4th or 5th grade. I went to a private school. And so in one of the Wednesday chapels that we had, they had brought up psychics and how they go to hell. And I remember knowing then, like, I'm going to go to hell. Like, it was very clear to me. So although I called it a guessing game, I had to have realized it was deeper than that. And that's kind of when I knew, like, you don't talk about this, like, just let it kind of go away. Like, I didn't really want to do it, but I continued my little games myself. And of course, I've used it throughout my life, but I really just got brave recently to do it professionally.
Well, I'm so grateful that you were willing to put yourself out there in this way, because you've already helped so many people. And I think it's hard to realize sometimes, like, the ripple effect of us showing up authentically is huge, but we just can't directly see it all the time. And so I think that's one of the reasons I was so drawn to doing my work, because when you treat a heart attack, you immediately see the person who is on the brink of death come back to life, basically. Yeah. And sometimes people do come in basically dead, cardiac arrest, and you resuscitate them, and the next day you have a conversation with a living person. So it's like a very big, gratifying instant. But the more I've done, the more I've realized, like, every little act of authenticity, it has this tremendous ripple effect. And I think it's all the same. It's on the same plane.
Absolutely. And just think about that. Like, someone's coming in. Oh, I just can't even, like, what a surreal thing to know you had a hand in that. That is really so cool.
I want to move on to a little bit of a deeper question for you. So we talk about the higher self, and we talk about getting messages from that place. But how do we know if it's a message from the higher self versus mental noise, fear, the thinking mind?
That's a great question. You're not afraid. So if you're getting like you need to turn around right now, like something bad's going to happen to you, it's not your intuition. It's not your higher self. Your intuition would be, take a right. It's not going to make you afraid. Why I should take a right or anything like that. So it's going to be calm and clear, and usually one step. It's usually not like a ton of direction at once. But if you have any, like, if you're scared or if there's any intimidation with it, or you're like something's really bad might happen, things like that, absolutely, it's not intuition. It's not going to come in to scare you. So a lot of people mistake anxiety, I think, for intuition. Anxiety comes with a level of fear. And so that wouldn't be clear. I would tell you to stop, take a couple of breaths, and then center yourself and be like, do I still need to turn around?
I think that's super helpful because I've caught myself in that trap all the time. And that's also part of the
Me
reason
too.
that
Me too.
Like, who do you go to? Because I come to you. Who do you go to?
Yeah. I should find somebody. Yeah. Maybe we should beep that out. No, all of you.
No, but I think like it just kind of brings out the question of like, how do you as a healer find that healing for yourself? Because you give and give and give. And I actually admire how you're able to do that during sessions, because I know that when you're working with that type of energy, it's a lot. And so how do you fill your own cup?
That's a great question. I laugh a lot. I know that sounds crazy, but like laughter's kind of my my medicine. I like watch some comedy. I probably should find a good healer myself. I'm riding such a high right now. Like I finally left my corporate job. I actually get to do this full time. I am still in such a honeymoon phase with it that I again, it feels almost like I'm floating, like I'm on a high. Trust me, I'll fall again. Like my lesson is coming, I'm sure, and there's going to be depth to it, and I will need support. But right now, it just feels so good, and my body had so much of this like kind of pent up intuition that every call that I do, it actually almost energizes me right now.
This is so awesome because it's like when you're in alignment, you're flowing with life, it fills your cup, and it looks different in each phase of our lives. So the things that worked for me, for instance, like 5 years ago, are drastically different from the things that work for me now. And they look completely different from what works for you. So it's almost like individualized care for the whole person. And it's like a correlate to like individualized medicine. Like not every patient fits the same.
Let's bring that about, right? Truly individual medicine would be incredible. Yeah. Absolutely.
The medical system is challenging. I think we all go into it with really good intentions, right? We want to help people. We're empaths. We have, some strong pull to connecting deeply with people in that way. And I just remember my own experience, and this is something I don't really share often, but when I was in residency, I put my entire life into becoming the perfect candidate to get into cardiology. And when I applied the first time, I didn't get in. And everybody was just like, what happened? Like, how did Priya not get into cardiology? And then I was told, you don't fit the mold, and, oh, you're too this, or you didn't do enough of that. And it really shattered my identity. And you couple that with like long hours of working, sleep deprivation. And I think I was on like night shift, and my circadian rhythm was off. I was isolated, and all this stuff happened, and I just kind of crumbled. And that was my first time experiencing clinical depression. And it's so common in the medical world, but we normalize it almost. We're like, oh yeah, burnout is just part of the work that we do.
Badge of honor almost. Yeah, it's crazy.
But it's like, how do you care for people fully whenever you're so exhausted and burnt out and experiencing these really heavy periods of energetic shifts in your body and in your soul?
Priya, I think that's such a good question. We're talking about a group of people who, beyond any of us, understand the human body like the back of their hand. They absolutely are telling their patients, you need to eat better, you need to sleep more, your cortisol's too high, you are unhealthy. And yet that is exactly, they're living their life off of vending machines. They're not sleeping. They are working and making medical decisions for people with such a lack of sleep. And how did we get here? Like, it's mind-blowing a little bit.
I had that aha moment. I was in my first year of clinical practice as an attending. You finished all the training, you've made it, you're doing your adult job. And I did cases all night, like back-to-back emergencies. And these are really tough cases. And when I say a case, it's like a patient's life is in your hands, right? So it's not just like, I'm just going to go change a tire on a car.
Yeah. Like it's their life. Yeah.
And you feel connected to this person. It's an energetic exchange, and all these things happen. And the next day I'm like, why am I going in at 7 a.m. with like no sleep at all to do scheduled outpatient cases? And it's just because that's the way the system was built, right? And I started to question things. I'm like, how did we end up here in a place where we're doing things to help people, but we're not okay to help people in that state? Like when I don't sleep for 48 hours, I'm not going to be as sharp as I am today.
And we know that, doctors know that, right? Like, yeah, it's absolutely crazy. And what's crazier is that we feel like that's a better doctor, someone who is willing to sacrifice almost their whole life and live at these hospitals. And I think in a weird way, we always put it to they make a lot of money, so let's really make them work for it. Like, I just think we've kind of really turned it around. And 100%, if sex is an energetic exchange, your hands in someone's heart, I mean, that's got to be next level energetic exchange, right? Like,
everything is an energetic exchange.
Yeah, like that's
money,
wild.
the time that we spend here having a conversation, it's all energy. And so like once I started to think about it like that, it was like, oh, this makes so much sense. Yeah. And I think you actually taught me this practice of like, how do you feel an hour after an interaction or a practice or something? Like, how does it make you feel? Do you feel like you've gained energy or you lost energy? And use that as your compass, because it's really hard for me in the moment to know like, hey, am I enjoying this? Is this good for me? And, you know, as somebody who's this overachiever, perfectionist, people pleaser, like all these tendencies that I have, I'm like, okay, I really need to see how I feel once I step away from it. So that's super helpful for me. Yeah. Do you have any other tips like that for us, like for people in this demographic that just really struggle to do these things?
Well, I mean, I think that's just a great tip, but I tell everyone, give it 1 full hour, because it really does take about that long, especially if you're a people pleaser, because at first, after pleasing someone, you do get a little bit of a high from it, and you won't feel that frustration or being used until about an hour or so. So it does work there. I mean, I think a great practice is really protecting your energy, especially if you're a doctor or a nurse or anything like that. And you can do that a variety of different ways. You can just wash yourself in white light before walking in. There's so many times too, like in my corporate job, I feel like I would, obviously it wasn't in alignment, but I was not brave enough to leave yet. And so one of the things I would do is really just call upon my spirit guides on my way to work and just say, move any lower vibrations out of my way today. Do not let me converse with a lower energy today, and really protected myself that way, because I knew I already just felt depleted when I would get there. And so you could do something like that. Crystals or rocks. I mean, there's so many different, whatever kind of resonates with you, but 100%. You got to cleanse that energy, especially when you're dealing with so many people.
I felt that way going into the office before I left my last job. And I couldn't figure out why I was so drained at the end of the day. Like I was doing work that I'm used to doing. Like, yes, we do these crazy schedules. We take a ton of calls.
That's the tricky part to your mind is like, oh, I'm killing it here. Why do I hate it so much?
I don't know about killing it.
Yeah, don't say that in your line of work. You're like, I'm saving it here.
I'm saving it here.
Saving lives. That would suck.
And so like I realized these things like where I'm like, things are going fine and I'm doing a lot of cases, right? I'm a proceduralist. Like we like to be in the lab. We like to take care of patients in a procedural way. But at the end of it, I'm like, I'm so drained. And I realized that walking into my office just like zapped all the joy and energy out of me. And it was because I was not aligned with my environment and the expectations of that environment and the existing culture. And I had no freaking idea. I was like, am I just unfit to do this work?
If a patient came into you and had all of those symptoms that you were talking about, like you would be like, well, how much are you sleeping? Like, what are you eating? Are you getting enough water? Have you taken a walk outside? And I promise you, in residency, you're like, no. And it's so crazy because, like, again, how it's so difficult for me to get my own intuition. It's probably really hard even as a doctor when you're going through it to recognize just the small steps that you need to take to kind of move through it.
You start so many of my sessions with, you need to drink more water. Oh my gosh.
It's your weakness.
This is a full circle moment.
I love that name.
Yeah. I love that name too. It's the name of your business. How did you get to that full circle?
Well, I just feel like everything comes around full circle, and I'm a little bit of a sucker for full moon, so it was a play on that a little bit too.
I think it's beautiful. And when you talk about alignment and how certain things feel out of alignment, like we spent so many years doing things that were at some point aligned, right? That they were part of the path, but at some point we evolve and we grow in a different direction. How do we find the strength to make a decision to transition into something else?
Yeah. Well, and let's talk about alignment. I totally agree with you. And it's a slow and steady kind of like when you're out of alignment, it is slow and steady. So you're going to start to feel more and more frustrated. It feels more and more out of place and things like that. But I don't ever want to say that alignment is just easy. There's so many times that during big times of suffering, you're actually in alignment. There's like a lesson there, and through that kind of journey that you're going through gets you to something else. So it's not always easy. I will say, even during hard parts of our life, even though they might be in alignment, I always say the best way to look at it is kind of like a Christian, like when hard things are happening to them, they're like, oh, I know God has a plan for me. It's that. Like when you can hold that higher vibration and say, this is all going to work out for the greatest good. Like there's a purpose in this suffering. There is goodness that's going to come out of this. This is going to teach me something. That means you're probably still in alignment, even in suffering. But for the most part, when we're getting out of alignment, for most people, it'll start to feel like frustration or being used or quick to anger. And you're going to notice that even things that you normally loved, you don't love anymore. So all of your fun will turn into probably drinking or going out or overeating or numbing yourself on the couch. And when you get there, you do start to actually get numb on the inside, and you stop to even realizing what feels good and what doesn't.
That's super powerful, because I got to a point in my work, and this is super common in the medical culture, where we tell people to do all these like great things for themselves, and then we're like meeting at 5 p.m. at a happy hour, and we're just like downing a couple of martinis, and then we're just going to rinse and repeat.
People the next day.
Rinse and repeat, right? And it's such a common thing in the culture, and I was like very much in it until I was just like, wait, why do I feel like I feel terrible? And you mentioned something earlier about how psychic abilities were traditionally taught as something that will send you to hell in religion. Why do we look at spirit that way? Like, why is it so polarized and tied to these ideas of religion?
Well, I mean, I think if we go back to the history of it, there's probably like really good reason, like, people had to kind of people put fear in you to get you to believe whatever they want you to believe. And maybe during that time, Christianity was just, or any sort of religion is what they wanted you to believe. I believe that most people didn't want us to understand the power that we held. And I think even to this day, we don't understand how much power we hold, how much power our thoughts have, what we're able to actually create in our life.
Why are we so polarized when it comes to talking about things like these gifts and abilities that everybody has? Like, why don't we talk about it more?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just created to be taboo to some degree. I think we don't like to be as powerful as what we are. I think we're afraid of what we don't fully understand. And I don't think any of us fully understand the spirit world.
Even in the medical world, like there's a nurse that I work with, and she's phenomenal. Her name is Emily. And she has this ability to just sense before something is happening. Like we're sitting in the case, everything is going fine. And then I see her reaching for something, and I'm like, something's about to happen, because the hairs on the back of her neck will stand up. So it's like everybody.
You're like that too, though.
I feel it. I feel it more and more as I progress in my career and just kind of have more openness to it. But like, I realized like I have to be in a really regulated place to be able to access it. So can you tell us a little bit about that? Like, why is regulation important? Or what is regulation?
I mean, I think especially when you're first using your intuition, you do need to be calm, cool, collected, and fully regulated to hear it, because we're so used to not hearing ourselves, right? We're used to the crazy thoughts in our head, so much stimulation around us. So it does take time to learn it. And through that, you do need to be pretty self-regulated. And also just a calmer nervous system. We just cannot think clearly and hear the proper side of our mind when we're in a high state of cortisol. It's impossible. But as you get more used to it, you'll be like your nurse friend, where you just, no matter what happened that day, my hair is standing up, I know something's about to happen, I stop to listen to it. So you definitely will get more advanced as you hear it.
I would love to see a system in which we teach people these skills in medical school.
Priya, that's my dream. Are you kidding me? I mean, any of the absolute people that you know are meant to be doctors, 100% will say, I don't know how I know what I know when it comes to a patient. Then there's people who are probably in it for the money, and you absolutely can tell that as well, okay? But true healers, absolute crazy, insane doctors know that they don't know how they know things. And I wish wish we would normalize that a little bit.
My dad is an interventional cardiologist, and we've had these conversations about the things you can't explain since I was 2 years old. So I feel like I had a lot more openness to it, but like, where do you even start if you haven't had that experience before and it's not normalized in our field? And on top of that, it's like people really truly want to give their best. The art of medicine is one of the most important parts of it. And I think the art is tied to these intuitive, energetic components. And how do we send people out there in the world without the tools for them?
Yeah.
Should we create a toolkit?
I mean, yes.
What would it look like?
For doctors specifically, or for anyone in general?
For healers.
Well, I think most of their toolkit is internal. So I would say breath work just right off the bat. Are they meditating? I mean, and it can be as simple as 5 minutes in the morning just to clear their head so they know that they're hearing themselves. I would say that would be the two most powerful. Of course, taking care of their actual body. It would, I think, be shocking just if doctors, because like when you see a doctor who's finally made it in their career where they are eating better and they have more regulated hours and that kind of thing, the decisions that they make are night and full different. So, I mean, I think just that alone would be a huge part of their toolkit. But learning to use breath, stepping away for a moment when they're feeling off and coming back with a clear head would be great. But I absolutely just normalizing it, I think, would be a huge tool, because then new doctors starting out could say, I feel like something's not right.
I struggle to share some of this too, because I stepped away from my corporate practice of medicine job, the kind of the grind and being awake for all these hours, doing high risk procedures with very little rest. And I transitioned to traveling for work, which is not very popular. It's not a super common thing to do, especially in interventional cardiology. But what I realized is that when I show up more regulated, I give at 100%, and the patients can actually feel it.
Oh, yeah.
And it's really interesting.
It is. Absolutely.
And I was afraid, I was like, oh, if I take like a couple weeks off here and there, or I space out the work stints, and, a little bit further apart, am I still going to be able to use my hands and have good judgment? And I honestly think I have better judgment and better hands because of the rest, even though I've had people tell me like, hey, are you sure you want to do that? Because you may not be as good as you were.
I know. Yeah.
So it's interesting.
It's very interesting. And I think you were worried about that. I think you were worried that you were almost ruining your career because you're going against the norm. And anytime we go against the norm, it feels wrong, even though it feels right on like the inside of us. But yeah, you can see, I mean, hands down, you connected with your patients. They became real people to you for the first time in a long time. I mean, you understood their life, and even asking questions about their life helped you understand their case, right? I mean, these are things that, yeah, it's just crazy that we don't do that regularly.
The feeling of taking care of somebody in that way and having them leave the cath lab like singing and dancing, that is such a cool feeling. And it comes from that energetic exchange. It's like technically the procedure went the same way as it did in any other setting, but it's like how you show up actually affects how somebody else receives healing, is what I realized in that.
In one of our readings together, which also, just anything I say, I really do love doctors. So if I ever end up in your emergency room, please take good care of me. We're just saying as a whole group, it should adjust a little bit. Okay. In one of our readings together, where was your last contract at that you...
It was in Kansas.
Yeah. In one of our readings, I actually got you were there on purpose. Like there was a specific case that was going to be challenging and you were placed there. And so sometimes, as much as we don't realize, like even that one person whose life that you changed, it was on purpose. Like you were there for a reason. And no matter how much you wanted to or didn't want to travel, like they needed you in that place.
I'm getting goosebumps because when I landed there, so it's a little place in the middle of Kansas. They have a tiny, tiny regional airport. I got there at like midnight. I didn't have a car. Their Ubers were like out in the farm somewhere. So they're like coming to get you and it's 30 minutes out. And so I show up and it was 10:10 on my phone. And then immediately...
Which is my birthday.
No. Amazing. And then it immediately switched to 11:11. So the time changed.
Oh, yeah.
And I was just like, they want me here. And before the last year, I had no idea what an angel number was or what synchronicity meant. And I think...
Oh my gosh, boy, do you now. Like, that's their favorite way to...
Yeah. Can you tell us a little bit about that? How does spirit, higher self, whatever you want to call this, communicate with people? Like, how do we tap in, and is it different for everyone?
It's totally different for everybody. So if you do not get angel numbers, it does not mean they're not communicating. I think for you specifically right now, as you're beginning to work with them, it's the easiest way to catch your attention, to get you to see them. It's hard proof, which you're still wired like a, yeah, I was going to say, you're still wired like a doctor, girl. So I think in a weird way, it's them reassuring you you're on the right path. You've had a lot of changes. I mean, and I know we eventually need to actually tell your story on here, so you probably don't know it yet, but it's a big one. And there's been so many changes in the last year that I think you've needed that confirmation on the way. And in a weird way, they're kind of like, it's kind of showing me as a child, you almost needed to always know what was next. So it feels like you would ask, like, but timing too, like, how long will we be here? What? So it's almost like universe's way of like being there for you as a child, showing you like, we're doing well. Like, we're here a little bit longer. Keep going. You're headed in the right direction, to keep you at ease as much as they can.
And I feel so supported, and I didn't even realize how much support I have. And you can't see it, but you can feel it. Yeah. And I did grow up with a lot of volatility in my household. And so I tried to hold on to whatever I could control, and control became my entire way of making decisions. Like, how do I find safety and control in this physical world? And I think that's how I ended up where I ended up, honestly. Like, I do love my job. I love being in medicine, but I have all these other things, other dimensions to myself that I never allowed myself to explore because they didn't feel safe.
Yeah.
And so,
or you weren't allowed to fully,
I wasn't allowed
right?
to.
Yeah. And I think that's happened to a lot of us. You know, I was talking to someone right before I came in here, and they were like, you know, I had this huge dream, and my mom was like, no, you can't. We need to pay bills. Like, you don't get to just have these dreams. And it took her 25 years for her to realize, like, I don't have any dreams because I shut that down. I shut that piece of myself down. So, yeah, I think, you know.
How do we learn to dream again?
Well, I think just asking that question is a good first start. Like, just knowing that I'm not dreaming, and just knowing that I'm not living my life fully, and just knowing that I'm not actually happy. I think that's one of the things that comes up in so many readings is so many adults don't actually know how to have fun anymore. They don't actually know what brings them joy. And so very much so, it's like a game. Like, okay, start. Like, it's going to be different than the last time that you were happy, probably. Like, you aged 10 years. Like, it's going to look a little different, you know? So take yourself out on weekly dates and try things. Like, go do a pottery class, go fishing, like, go bowling. Try the things that you would not normally try and see what felt good. Was it the journey to get there? Was it actually the activity? Was it who I was with? Like, what felt good? What didn't? Did I have fun? And begin to bring it back into your life.
I've got to show you, because you said it, and I don't even know why I have this here,
show
but
me everything.
Clearly I brought it for a reason. So you told me, do the things that bring you joy, and I started painting, and I didn't even know I could paint.
And it's so good.
Thank you. It's like one of my first paintings, and I painted this with tears coming out of my eyes because I was like, I don't know how to experience joy. Like, I quit my job. I have no plan for the first time in my life. I've made these big decisions that are deviating from like what everybody else thinks is normal. And they're just like, what happened to her? Like, did Priya just jump off the deep end? And here I am like, what is joy again? Like, painting in my room. And it did spark something in me. It almost felt like that same meditative state that I get into when I'm in the cath lab, and I connected with what's within.
You know what? I think you need to talk about that too. Just what that feels like for you. Because if any doctors are listening to this, I think that's a really important thing. Because if they can recognize that you get it, they might feel that within themselves. But we could go there in a second. Absolutely. So did you feel joy while you were painting it?
I felt joy in the process of painting it, even though I was shedding tears and asking a lot of questions. And I kind of got out of that thinking mind and into the heart, and then just started creating. Mm-hmm. And it's almost like that's what I was doing in my work too. And so I stopped attaching all of my joy and my worth to the physical clinical work that I do, and started realizing like there's beauty and joy in everything, like literally every single moment, every act of love, every act of kindness. And it's really shifted something for me. And you tell me this, you're like, you still have to do stuff just to do stuff for fun. Like, you can't just be like, okay, this is the building block for the next thing. It's like our experience of being energetic beings in the physical form is to find joy.
Yeah.
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 What is your joy?
Oh gosh, I have so many. So right now, one of my big joys is doing yoga. And it's really just because I actually started it because we went on that yoga retreat, and I was like, gosh, I'm going to have to know like a little bit of yoga for this, right? Like I can't look like the biggest beginner at a retreat that I'm a part of. So I started in January. And now I'm like into this balancing thing on yoga. So like every day I'm working on these like balancing things for yoga, and I have come to love it. I also put myself out there, and because like my big spiritual community is in Wimberley and I live in Houston. So I also just signed up and I did a Kundalini meditation class. Shockingly, it was brand new and I was the only student that showed up. So it was less of a community and more of a one-on-one. But it brought some joy, so there's that. I do all kinds of art projects. So in my sunroom, I am painting something right now. I'm also knitting a blanket. Clearly, I like to do multiple projects and not finish them until I'm inspired.
We're multidimensional beings. We're allowed
girl.
to.
I got multiple personalities, and there's a little bit of me all throughout my house. Yes. I can put that on a social media post.
But I love that, like, multidimensionality is so important, right? And I think when we shut down parts of ourselves, we are not able to fully share all of our potential with the world. And so I realized, like, yes, I'm an interventional cardiologist, but I also want to do some modeling. I wanted to do that when I was younger, and
I love
I'm
that
back.
for you so much.
And I also wanted to do yoga teacher training. And I also got into plants, and you'll see them everywhere. And it's like, why do we put ourselves into a rigid box? And is it okay to be multidimensional?
A podcast host, a model, a doctor.
A seamstress.
Like,
what else do we want to do?
Priya? Yeah.
I did realize gemology school is not for me, though. I showed up at the GIA, so like this is my whole like process of seeking.
My favorite part of you is she's like, if I have a little bit of interest, I'm going to get a doctorate in it. Okay.
It was the first time I learned that, you know, not everything is for you, but until you show up and try it, you don't know. Like, did you know that the Gem Institute of America would not be a good fit? Like, I don't know.
I mean, I'm an intuitive, so yeah, I could kind of feel that. No,
Yeah, you can tell.
just kidding.
But it's also part of the process of taking a chance on yourself.
100%. And I mean, what a funny story that it becomes right now on Open Heart. And you didn't even know that you were going to have a podcast, that you were going to be like, I did learn that this school's not for me. And a whole bunch of people are going to laugh at that story with you, not at you.
I think so. And at the moment, I felt like people were laughing at me. People were just like, I think she's having like a mental breakdown, or what happened to her. And what I realized...
You thought that too a little bit.
Oh my God, that's why I came to you. I was just like, Stephanie, do I need to check myself in? Like, what is going on?
Yeah. I think we go through that though. And I think that's like something good to talk about is when we are going through our changes, when we're going through that death and rebirth or any of those very cliche spiritual terms that we hear so much, the dark night of the soul, it literally, we are losing ourselves and we are like, what is wrong with me? I was a vice president of a real estate investment firm that raised, I mean, we were at like $1.3 billion in capital. It's a whole ego death to step away from something you work so hard for and feel like, oh, I'm an intuitive coach.
Exactly.
It's
hard.
It's so hard.
I'm
it's
I'm
so
a
hard.
quadruple board certified interventional and structural cardiologist, and women make up less than 1% of that
I
field.
know.
And now I'm just kind of like, I am a
And
student
you're so
of the
pretty,
world.
right? Like
Oh
you're
my gosh,
gorgeous,
Stephanie, you're so kind.
quad certified.
I do have kind of a closing question for you.
Okay.
If someone listening is just beginning to peel back the layers and question who they really are, where should they begin?
Just meditate. Just sit with yourself. And that if you can't sit with yourself, go take a walk without headphones in, without music playing, without stimulation. Like just get to know yourself for a second. Because I promise you, it's been a hot minute since you've heard your inner voice. And so I wish I could say something more glamorous, but I truly would say, and I think when you first start out, so many people go to crystals or they go to a Reiki specialist or they go to all of these things because they need something tangible to be like, I'm more connected. And as you get further into your practice, you'll realize like the connection is here. And so if I could give anyone one piece of advice, it would just be to be with yourself without all the noise around you.
That is so beautiful. And I was definitely on that train of like, I did Reiki level 1. I forgot to add that to my list. And yoga teacher training. But I really do believe that. And after I learned that, especially from talking to you, I started using that as my daily practice. And I realized that what's needed is actually to be still and be with yourself and be fully present. So like be in this moment, like don't let the mind go to the future, the past, all the different possibilities, but just like be really there. And it changed everything.
Oh, it just, for the first time being present in your day, it is mind blowing that you're like, oh my gosh, like I was a part of everything I did today. Actually, one of the things, if you're saying, I just need to get through the day, you are not living. Like, what? You are not happy then, okay? Like, if you are just trying to get through your day, you need to stop and evaluate what you're doing, because I promise you, you're not happy.
So to our viewers, if you are not wanting to enjoy your day fully immersed, then ask the question, am I really doing what I need to be doing? I think that's a beautiful way to wrap this up.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you changed my life.
You changed mine.
Wait, what?
Don't ask me how right now.
Actually, I do want to know one last thing about you, Stephanie. What does living with an open heart mean to you?
What does living with an open heart mean? Oh, gosh. Pursuing passions, being vulnerable, living authentically, even when you don't know who exactly that is. My kids were going ice skating the other day, and I was like, God, I haven't been ice skating forever. I will look so stupid. But my heart actually wanted to go ice skating, and I actually didn't let myself. So I clearly was living with a closed heart that day, because I was like, I'm going to fall. And then what if I hurt my hip? And, whatever. But I was like, that would have been living with an open heart, going ice skating, despite what people would have thought about me.
Oh, I actually needed to hear that message today, because that's what this podcast is for me. It's something that I felt like it feels divinely guided.
It does.
Totally out of my comfort
I think
zone.
It was divinely guided. And I can say that even not just for my own intuition, to toot my own horn, I will not. But although you should book a session. But we actually went on a retreat to Taos, and we got to sit with the Lakota tribe, and they did like an opening ceremony, and his wife, Little Bear's wife, is very intuitive as well. And when you went up there, her message to you was, do it.
Do it. Yeah. That was the message.
And you came with the, should I start a podcast?
Yeah. That was exactly it.
So I think it was divinely guided, actually.
And so living from an open heart instead of a closed heart, and living authentically into our truth.
Yes.
That's beautiful. Well, thank you, Stephanie, for the wisdom. I feel like we could do this all day.
Thank you so much for having me here. Thank you.
If you're still with us, thank you for staying open. This episode was deeply personal for me. I never thought I'd be on a podcast talking about energy, intuition, burnout, all in the same breath, but here we are. That's what happens when you stop performing and start asking, who am I really? Stephanie, thank you for your honesty, your grace, and being a mirror to so many of us who are just beginning to remember who we are. If you're listening and you're in a season of shedding, of feeling disconnected from your body, your purpose, or even your joy, I want you to know you're not alone. I've been there. I still find myself there some days, but you're not broken. You're becoming. Keep going. And if any part of this conversation stirred something in you, trust that. It's not random. That's your inner voice trying to get your attention. Don't ignore it. This show is called Open Heart for a reason. It's not just about the organ. It's about how we live, how we love, and how we lead. If this resonated, share it with someone you love. And if you're feeling bold, share it with someone you think needs to hear it but would never seek it out. Until next time, stay open, stay curious, and keep asking the real questions. With love, until next time, this is Priya Rao, signing off.